everyone and happy Monday. We have a planner page here which is from, I want to say, Enchanted Forest by Johanna Basford. I think so. So we have our fox. Now this is such a lovely picture to make into an autumnal page with the colours of our fox and the leaves that we can easily make into sort of autumn look. I thought it would probably be easier to start with colouring the fox and leaving the leaves and then doing the leaves afterwards, just so I can work out what is going to sort of match and look right. So that's how I'm going to colour this one. I've got my Staedtler Design Journey pencils because we've got quite a few little details, although we do have some larger areas as well. I'm hoping that they will work. Now I've got a few pictures of foxes in front of me. And the first thing I notice is that they tend to have black socks. So we're going to start there with the black, nice and simple. Black number 9. I'm going to come in closer so you can see what I'm doing. It's always a good way to start. There we go. Now I'm going to start here. I'm going to start doing little strands because our fox has got fur, as well you know, and if we do some lines it looks more like fur. Now the direction is always a little bit tricky, but I'm thinking up the legs makes sense to me, and I'm going to layer that up a little bit more. In my picture my fox has got brown socks all the way to the top, black socks all the way to the top of the leg. So that's how I'm going to do this one, just because it will make sense then, hopefully, and it will look right. I mean, obviously there's no right when you're colouring, but I want this fox to look like one, so that's the plan. And it's always good practice for Johanna's new book where there's a few animals, isn't there, and they've got flowers in, not leaves. I think there's a really cute bunny that actually she posted on her socials where she'd been colouring herself. And there is a panda, I seem to remember, and a chipmunk, is that right? Can't remember what else. There's actually a fox, isn't there? Yeah, there's a fox curled up in a little ball, I think. It's very cute. Now this pencil is very light because it's a hard pencil. It actually looks quite like that's grey, not black. So I'm sort of, you can layer it up quite a few times to get a more black look. I'm not going to worry too much, but I sort of want to fade it upwards. So I want it to look darker at the bottom because I'm pretty sure that's how it looks in the picture I'm looking at. The picture I'm looking at, the fox, I just googled it. Actually, it's not Google that. Actually, it is on Google on my tablet, and it's a picture of a fox in the snow. It's lovely, but there's also an Arctic fox, and it's just the fluffiest ball of white fluffy fluffiness. It's just adorable, but no, we're not doing that. Or we could just say it's done. We're doing a white one. So no, we won't do that. But yes, so we sort of get into practice for fur and things like that. And of course you don't have to put texture into your fur if you don't want to. You can just colour it in and just leave it at that, really. I was looking at Maria Trolle's new Christmas book, which has come out. She shared a flip through. I think it's out already. I'm not 100% sure. It's not on Amazon though. I had a look. It's on iMusic, which is where Hannah Carlson also sells her books initially. I'm not sure why they don't just go straight to Amazon, but they go to iMusic first. So and she's also made an advent, or contributed to, she didn't make it herself, an advent calendar which I was looking at, which looked absolutely adorable. So there was the calendar, the front cover of the calendar which she'd drawn. Inside the calendar there were 24, sorry, we're going to get on and do these legs, 24 books mini books illustrated and written by various different people, one of which is her, one for each day. And I just thought it sounded like the most adorable thing, but it's in Swedish, so and they're children's stories, but I just thought that sounds delightful. But I don't know any Swedish, and no, I'm rubbish at languages. Where it's shameful, really, that we don't know many. In the UK, it's almost like we're just like, oh well, everyone should learn English. It's very rude of us. We're terrible hosts to foreign tourists. We just don't speak any language apart from English. You just have to learn our language if you want. It's really rude. But it's amazing that when you go to Europe on holiday, I know we're in Europe, but I think you know what I mean. Everyone speaks English. It's almost embarrassing. Now we have the nose here, which is also going to be in black. This needs to be really dark, so I'm going to do a really dark line around the edge, and then a bit less in the middle, and leave a little white, shiny bit. It's not completely white, like that. Now I'm looking at the tail. In mine, the tail is black as well. Some of them, the tails are white, but this one, the tail is black. So I'm going to do it like that because it's a lot easier than white. Even though I'm going to do a background on this page, I've already decided what I'm doing. It's going to be really simple and certainly not compulsory. But if I'd left this white, it would have interfered because it's going to be a soft pastel background. So if I had white, too much white, getting the pastel on the white is going to be a risk. We're going to have some white here, but I'll probably do it as a light, very light grey. Now, this one fox, he has a completely black tail. A lot of them have white on the end. So, a bit confused. And some of them just seem to have black. So, anyway, it's... I'm just going to do these longer strands of fur on the tail because I think it does look like they all seem to look like they've got more longer, fluffier strands. I'm going to darken up this tip though a bit more, and I think then we might be ready to put in another colour. Now let's have a look at. Now we've got quite a lot of white. Now basically the white is this chest, but this is the back, so we've got to try and work out where the chest ends and the back begins. It's quite difficult with this sort of head angle, but I'm thinking I might just do that bit white just to keep it really simple, and then once it goes behind the leaves it's the sort of it's the back. So as I say, I'm not going to actually use white. I'm going to use this colour here. This is the 800 and it's the cool grey, and I'm just going to put a bit of this on. It might be quite faint, you might not really be able to see it, but I don't want to leave it completely white, so I'm just going to sort of do it all in this sort of grey, and again sort of furry strokes. Hopefully you can see them. I don't know if you can see mine, but you have to see them on yours, hopefully. And see, what I'm going to do is when I've done the body, I can then decide whether I think that that the leaves should be, you know, what colour I think the leaves should be, basically. There we go. I think that's all the white really. Now we need this sort of reddish brownish colour. I think the 73 is the best colour for this. Here it is, 73. I'm going to sharpen it a little bit. I tend to use my, sorry, we've been moving up the page a bit. I tend to use my Staedtler Norris. It makes sense for a Staedtler pencil, but the Staedtler Norris sharpener is really good for any hard pencil I use it for my tombos, for my polychromos, that sort of thing. And I'm quite happy that this is a little bit darker on the top. Now I'm trying to go around the leaves so that I colour them in separately later. This is where having a sharp pencil comes in handy. And a good eyesight. The sun's just coming out, which is slightly interfering with what I can see, but never mind. I think I'll start down here actually. I hope everyone's well today. It's afternoon. I've just had a happy lunch with my son, who then went off for his driving lesson. He was feeling a bit old. He said, I feel like I've forgotten something, but he bought his train ticket. He had his a drink and a snack, and he had his phone, and he had his wallet, so I think he was fine. I think it's because yesterday he went to uni and he had like a lunch and a computer, you know, his laptop and all that stuff with him, whereas today driving lesson doesn't need all that stuff. I'm actually tempted to forget about the fur at the moment in this little area and just block it in, because I want to make sure I don't want to see the white paper. So I think I'm going to forget the furry stripes, because it's very hard to not have paper showing when you're doing it that way. And we can always put some in with a slightly darker pencil if necessary later. Yeah, the sun's shining, which he was pleased about, because he can't drive in his normal boots that he walks in. He's got like some ankle boots. I guess they're walking boots sort of thing. And so he put on his light trainers. The other day when he had a lesson in the rain, he took a pair of, he's got a pair of light trainers that he can drive in really well. So he took those with him and wore his boots because his trainers aren't waterproof. But today he doesn't need to worry too much because it's not forecast for rain. And he did take a Mac anyway in his bag, just in case. It's always wise at this time of year, well, any time of year in the UK, it's always wise to have an umbrella or a Mac with you, even on the hottest of days. You just never know. I'm just trying to figure out what's going on in here. There's a gap there, there. Gosh, that's tricky. There we go. I did the best I could there. Now, this bit's been done in our grey already, so we're sort of, as soon as we get to here, actually top of the leg, that bit, isn't it? So I think that bit should be in black. There. Yeah, now we're getting here, from here. Again, I think I'm just going to fill it in rather than trying to make it furry at this moment. And then we'll think about that in a bit. Yeah, this starts. Hopefully it'll work out. There we go. Right. It's such, I'm having to concentrate quite a lot. It's making it hard to talk. But yes, it's nice and quiet. It's my first, well, I've had a few quiet days, but it's quite odd. Now my son's back at uni. I'm getting more quiet days, like tomorrow he's out till mid-afternoon and he goes out first thing, so I'm going to have quite a long time on my own, and actually tomorrow I tend to on a Wednesday catch up with a couple of TV shows, so I'll be able to just have a bit of chill time, which will be nice. I watch Jamie Oliver's got a series on at the moment which I watch. I never get many ideas from him, but I don't know, I just like watching him really. I mean, I do cook, you know, I cook from scratch, so I sort of know what I'm doing a little bit in the kitchen. I'm not very good with, I do pick up new recipes every so often. Last night I suggested that the boys have a frittata. Well, I said first, he said, should we have do you want an omelette? And then I said, actually, if we do a frittata, then the cheese can, what we could do, I don't know if this is how you make a frittata, probably not. What we did was we just whisked the eggs, put them in an oven dish, and one of my sons put tomatoes in, the other one doesn't like tomatoes, and then we just sprinkled cheese on the top and put it in the oven, and so it ended up like a sort of pizza with a eggy base and a really crispy golden brown cheesy top. It looked absolutely delicious. Apparently it was really good. My concern was if we overcooked it, it would be rubbery, but they said no, it hadn't overcooked, it was just right. So that's really good, and I thought that's a great meal I can use when people visit. If I put a few more vegetables in with the egg, you know, maybe some broccoli or some mushrooms, I probably pre-cooked them so they weren't too wet, or some sort of cubes of roasted root vegetables or something like that, then I could serve that to guests and I think they'd rather like it. What's not to like? You know, so I thought, no, that's a good idea. I'd probably put a bit black pepper in it. They put it on after, but I think it would probably have benefited from having a bit in it cooking. And it's stuck in the pan because I didn't grease it well enough, so that's a lesson learned, but that's easy enough. I would probably line it with baking parchment because I think that works much better, but we just didn't bother. We just put brushed some oil onto it, but anyway. But tonight, my son doesn't come in from his driving lesson until about 10 to 6. I think it will be. My other son's home about 5. So I'll be cooking on my own tonight, but I think I might just put some chicken in the oven for them tonight. Make it easy for myself. Now, when they have chicken, they like to have some roasted pepper, roasted in a sort of slice. So I tend to cut up pepper in thirds, may have a third each. And then they just lay that bit of pepper on top of the chicken, and then they put it into a pita bread. And they rather like that, so I shall see if I can, just going to sharpen my pencil, see if I can do that for them, roast some bits of pepper. I've got some courgettes I can roast, and some sweet potatoes and parsnips and things. So there's plenty. I think I've got the first Brussels sprouts I've had this season. I'm going to boil a few of those to go with it. That'll be good. And then Thursday and Friday, it's only Tuesday today, everyone's out nearly all day and late for lunch, and my one son's out evening as well. He's not back until 6:30, so he's taking food with him to uni to eat on the train or whatever. So I will I can make something for just me and my other son, who is a bit less fussy. So rather than doing, I can roast some cauliflower, for example, which we both really like, but my other son doesn't. And roasted broccoli he also likes. I think I've used up all the broccoli already though. But anyway. So yeah, and he likes roasted chickpeas, and I can sort of mix them into a mixed veggie tray bake, you know, and just make it really easy, that sort of thing. But we'll see. Oh, I'm struggling here to see which is the background and which is the bit of leaf there. I've got there. Trying to sort of blend it into the end of the tail, sort of thing. Right, have I done all the bits? I think I have. Now I think the best way to convey the idea that there's furriness on this, because I needed to sort of block it in so we could see it, is to get a slightly darker pencil. This is the number 7, the number 7. And I'm just going to draw on some lines, if I can get it to show up on top. I don't think this is going to be quite dark enough. No, I'm not going to use, I'm going to use the 76 so that we can really see it. Here it is, 76. This should be better. Ooh. Move the pencils away from my elbow. That's better. So hopefully it looks a bit like fur. Now, direction down the face, I'm going to start sort of turning here to go around and up from here. Now, thinking about these leaves and grasses and things, now there are lots of ways that we could approach these. We could do them all in the same colour as each other. So, you know, everything is the same colour or colours, or we could do them all really different to each other or slightly different. I'm having a little ponder on that idea. I'm attracted to the idea of doing them all the same, but I don't know whether that's because I'm lazy or because I think it'll look nice. I know me too well. You see, this is the problem. But on the other hand, does it matter if I'm lazy? Alright. Quite tricky doing it in here. Right, I'm going to leave that for now. I'm going to look at the leaves. Now, there are some that look really like grass. I'm going to do those in the number 77, which is a really, really dark brown. Okay, I'm going to try to fade them a little bit towards the end, but I still want them to look like I've coloured them in. I can hear a dog barking. I saw a post on Facebook about someone was saying their neighbours are complaining about their dogs barking, and someone said, oh, when my dog starts barking I immediately bring it inside. Well, it's a difficult one, isn't it? Because for me, you may or may not know, I'm not a big dog lover. It's not my thing. You know, dogs just aren't my cup of tea. I've got nothing, well, anyway. But if I hear a dog barking, it doesn't, if it was in the middle of the night and I was trying to go to sleep, or if it was early evening and I had a young baby, that would make me quite annoyed. Any noise does. But just for someone to have their dog out in the garden and it's just barking, it depends how upset it sounds, really. If it's crying, I find that quite distressing to me, even though I'm not a dog fan, I still don't like it. But if it's just barking like that one just had a bit of a bark, so it's okay. It's just bark something, someone's probably walked by, or another dog or something, that's fine. And I don't mind. If it starts barking a lot because it's again sounding like it's upset, then that I find that hard. But yes, it's not. So I don't know whether people are just being intolerant or whether they are trying to get their babies to sleep or whatever, you know. And if it's constant, it might be a little bit annoying. You know, I haven't ever had to sort of deal with constant. So yeah, maybe that makes it become rather less tolerable. I think also maybe if you feel, if you've had a dog yourself and you wouldn't have let it behave like that, maybe that would make you feel like that's, you know, it's not the right way to do things. I'm just looking at my swatch chart to try and work out where I'm going next. I don't think that's... Yeah, I'm just looking at these leaves and working out which colours to do them. I think we're going to go this route. We're going to start with the 49 at the bottom, and then we're going to use a lighter colour on the tips. Okay, so down here, quite a light colour, and then just sort of fade a bit, and the same here. So we can see, I mean, the insides of a fox's ears are normally black, but I am going to do all the leaves the same colour, so they're not going to be black. If you would prefer yours to be black, do them black. I'm not going to mind one little bit. Even if you show me your picture and you've changed it, I'm quite happy with that. I like to see your pictures, by the way. It's really nice. I find it a bit of a struggle. Some people say they tag me on Instagram. I don't always see them. I don't know why. I just didn't see any. Someone said, did you see my pictures I tagged? But the best place to share pictures, if you want to share your pictures with me, is on my Facebook page, on anything that I comment on, I mean anything that I post, sorry. You can comment underneath and share a picture. So it's nice and easy. And if you want to, I will have a post showing promoting this video, so you could put it under there if you've coloured it, and maybe you've coloured it in the past, because it's quite an old picture, isn't it? So I'd love to see them. I also love it when you like my videos, subscribe, share, and hype. I know a lot of you do already. I really appreciate it. Thank you. It does make a big old difference. Each little like. The hypes are interesting. I'm still learning about what that means. It's something you can only do on a phone or a tablet, a mobile device, basically. And what it does is when you press the hype button, it gives me a certain number of points. The points are calculated based on the amount of subscribers I have. So different YouTubers get different amounts of points per hype. And then there's a sort of hype league table for each country, and you can get to the top 100, for example. However, my son, who seems to know more about this, says it isn't really getting to the top table that's that important. Just being hyped shows that you're people think you're worth watching, and that will help you help the algorithm, as people call it, you know, help YouTube to think they should suggest your video to more people. So that's always good. So yeah, that's a nice thing to do. It must be hard though, because you get 3 hypes only, I think, per day, but I'm not entirely sure. And you have to choose who you're going to hype and which video. And like, because I do 2 a day, that's so many. you know. So it's tricky. But I have had some hypes already, so thank you to those of you that have done it. Appreciate it. YouTube say it's a way of helping smaller YouTubers to get more promotion and more exposure. Whether it works or not, we'll have to see. But they're also now doing A/B testing on titles. So the title of the video, obviously you can change it to whatever you want, and you can now put in 3 options, and it shows the titles to different people and tells you which one people seem to engage with and are more likely to watch the video after seeing. So it gives you an idea of whether your ideas for titles are working or not, which is quite good. There's also one for thumbnails, which I use occasionally. I've missed a load there, haven't I? But the one for thumbnails, I'm just going to do that bit I missed, which was number 73. One for thumbnails is harder because making thumbnails is hard work. I think it is anyway. I'm sure some people love it. It's not my cup of tea. So I don't tend to do that so often unless I'm doing a sort of video that I know is going to be popular. And then sometimes my son helps me make a thumbnail if he's in the mood. I think he's going to start getting a little bit, he's been so laid back and happy and good. I think he's going to potentially start getting a little bit grumpy over the next few weeks, going back to uni, having to get up early, all those things. He's got to get up early tomorrow. But he was okay today though. He's very laid back though, which is nice. So, you know, my sister said to me, oh, it's number 16. How did he get on his first day back at uni? I was like, he's absolutely fine. He's just chill. He was happy. He's met up with old friends, you know, and his teacher. He had a nice teacher that he'd had before, who he really respects and likes. And the subject isn't easy, but she teaches it well, explains it well, so he had a good time. I think he's been like me at uni. I loved it. I really enjoyed it. I liked the independence, the amount of free time I had. Now, having done this, I can see a few gaps in the bit I did in the background, so I'm just going to fill those in. You know, I found it just lovely. I think my university days are my favourite days of my life, which sounds a bit awful, but there were lots of reasons why. And I'm trying to replicate that now. So thinking back, why was that so good? Well, I had no responsibility, no kids. Okay, I can't get rid of that. And nor would I want to. But I was able to just come and go as I please, wander freely, have a lot of time off. You know, I could still do that. I do come and go as I please. Well, I can't really, actually, but to some extent I can. I could go out right now. No one would even know I'd gone, you know. So yes, I do have a sort of a freedom of that. I had lots of money. I know, as a student, I had lots of money. He's the same because he doesn't need to spend any money, and he's got some money, so, you know. And I had at the time when I was a student, if the family had 2 children at university at the same time, the children would get a full grant, which meant their fees were paid and they got living expenses. I don't remember how much those living expenses were, but we got those, me and my sister, being twin, you know, and we lived at home. So we had all that money. And I wasn't a big spendy person, but it meant I could go out and I could buy a t-shirt or a pair of jeans or, you know, things like that I'd never been able to do before. It was just, and I could buy presents for people. I'd never been able to afford to do that before because I never had my own money. And I always felt a bit weird saying to my dad, can you give me this money so I can buy a present for mum, and vice versa? Because it was their money, I was spending their money on them, and it always felt a bit weird. But I could, you know, didn't have to do that. It was just, you know, and I was cooking for myself, eating what I wanted, all that stuff, and I just loved it. And essay writing, I didn't mind at all. I didn't push myself too hard. I found it really easy. I was studying psychology, and I just found it fascinating mostly. Obviously not all of it. There are a few things I found hard, but it meant that I could just read around the subject and just really enjoy it, what I was doing. It was amazing. And I've always sort of thought I'd like to go back to uni and study other things because it was just so much fun. But I've realised that I don't need to be at uni to study things. Google Scholar allows you access to a lot of papers and documents. There's so much information out there on the internet that you can just find, podcasts, websites. You know, obviously you have to be a bit careful to make sure you're looking at things that are valid, not made up. Yeah, it's an interesting time we're in now, because we can all still keep learning easily, you know. So anyway, it was an interesting thought. Right, he is coloured. It's time for the background. Yep, it's going to just be one video today. Right, you may guess what I'm doing. I'm going to get my pastels out. I'm going to do a sort of autumnal-ish background. Ish, because I don't know what autumnal background means, but I have got a few plans. Let me see. Right, I've got a cotton pad. This is a clean. It's just stained. It should be fine. So I'm going to start, I think, with a sort of yellowy type colour, which I think will be quite nice. Oh, dog's barking now. Sounds like they're having a little yap, a little argument. It's all right, doggy dogs. So this sort of colour, and I'm going to hold it here and just put this all over. And it's not dark. I actually want to put a piece of paper under the page. I've only got this giant piece, so I'm going to put it there. I'll put the pastels on top of it. Yeah, just so that it doesn't go down the sides of the book, sides of the pages. So, oh, it's this one I was using, wasn't it? Yeah. So get this colour down as a sort of base colour. This sort of slightly Naples yellow, mustardy yellow. I'm shaking the whole desk. I don't know whether that shows up on camera or not. I'm going to put a bit down here. It's only the bit under the chin that's difficult to do. I'm just going to work my way around the page, and then we're going to add some other colours as well. Just going to pull my sleeves up because I've got my cardigan on. I don't want to dip them in my pastel. Be a different look, wouldn't it? I don't really want to put this cardigan in the wash because it's so beautifully warm, and it's been quite chilly, and if I get pastel all over it, I have to put it in the wash. So, well, I don't really want to do that yet. Now, getting pastel even on the page isn't the easiest thing to do, but you can just keep working and working and working, and eventually it will. But to be honest, it's not my aim to get it really even. So it's okay for me on this page. I don't mind if it looks a bit splotchy and blotchy. I do have some stencils that I can use with pastels, but today I don't think I need them. I've got like a brick wall, which is very useful. You could do your fox standing in front of a brick wall. Quite feel the right look to me. I've got What else have I got? I've got raindrops, circles, things like that. Right, I've done it quite quickly. Now I'm going to do a darker colour. I'm not going to go up to this one yet. I'm going to go quite far up. I'm going to go to this one here. I've got quite a nice, really dark reddish colour. And I'm going to put this in the corners. Okay. And I want that to be quite saturated and then sort of fade in. Okay, and then the same on this one down here. So it doesn't quite get all the way to the fox, but you know, we're sort of moving our way in. It looks almost like a sort of stained sepia book. From yours in the camera, it looks quite orangey. I suppose it is a bit, rather than sepia, but maybe it looks more like those books that have got a bit of acidic, oh, what's it called? Yeah, when the pages go sort of browned, I can't remember what it's called. Should know, used to buy and sell second-hand books, I use the term all the time. I'm going back to this one here, which is a slightly darker yellow. Now this piece of paper I've used behind is collecting all the little bits of pastel dust that I am creating. So it means it's not going all down the side of the book or all over the desk and making a big mess, which is nice. So I'm putting a bit all the way down there, but I want to just sort of scumble it along there so that it doesn't just look like a line. It's called foxing. Why didn't I think of that? There's one right there. When you get those little sort of brownie splotches in a book. Yes, foxing. Oh, sorry, the irony. Oh dear. How many of you knew? How many of you were going, you silly twit? How did you not know that? Oh dear. Now the idea is to sort of bring it around the edge, this colour, but do a lighter bit around the fox. It's sort of almost got a little halo around the fox. It's a bit lighter around the fox than the rest of the page. Now you don't have to use this sort of yellows. You could use greens as if he's standing in like a forest, or a darker brown, but try and make it so that the colour is a bit different to what you've used on the actual picture, so that the fox stands out as being a little bit different to the colours of your pastels. Okay. And then we will go. I thought this was going to be 2 videos, but I've just kept going with it. I wanted to get it done. It's a nice cute little picture. Right, now I'm going to go back to my original colour and sort of blend this colour into it. You can sort of work the whole page if you want to, or just the areas that you haven't done so much on. I think I'm probably going to just see how the fancy takes me. Cool, rattling the desk now. It can be quite daunting to do backgrounds. I know that, and I find doing them with pastels makes it a lot easier. They're quicker, they're simpler. You can erase pastel, you can you know, manipulate it around the page a bit, you can sort of go over it with other things, so it makes it a great tool to use. But you can always practice on a scrap piece of paper, and you know, if you've got a colour photocopier, you could just copy this page and try it on a photocopy before trying it in the book. You know, if you're feeling unconfident, you don't have to just go for it right away in the book. But as I say, it does erase. Just a normal pencil eraser will erase it. So you can, if you're using a much darker colour, you know, if you're using something, some colours can stain the paper just like pencils, so it won't always erase really easily. So if you're using red, purple, black, whoop, something like that, then it is going to be difficult to erase. But I'm just going to go back to my really dark colour because I feel this needs a little bit more mixing out. This corner and this one. So yes, a darker colour will stain the paper, so you just have to be a little bit wary, a little bit careful. And it's just like pencil in that the lighter you touch it, the less you get, the less pigment goes down. So you can be gentle or not, and cautious or more aggressive. I don't think that's the right word. And just get different effects and different amounts of colour. And it can be a lot of fun. And I find it so quick compared, you know, if I was trying to do this with pencil, I wouldn't try and do this with ergos because they're not the best pencil for doing huge areas, and it would get quite, it would take a long time to get this much pigment down on the page with a pencil. And I would run out of patience, it would end up looking very messy. Whereas here, it's ever so quick to just fill an area with colour. That bit looks a bit messy. Let's just go over it again. There we go. And there we have a fox in. Ooh, I'm just going to put the lid on the pastels so they don't spill everywhere. There we go. Put those there. Put that cloth in my dirty cloth pile. Take away that piece of paper, which look has now got a line all around it. There we are, and it's probably just a good idea to brush it off. I probably should have done that before I took the paper off. Just give it a brush, and there he is, our autumnal fox. I had such fun with that. That's why I couldn't stop. Really enjoyed it. I hope that was okay for you. I hope you enjoyed it too. Thank you for watching. I hope that you have enjoyed the rest of your day, and happy colouring.